part started a while ago. That song's been a year and a half in the making. And it was just one of those things where I was checking my guitar, and I was like, and Jay was like, oh, wait. And I was like, no, that wasn't a song. He was like, no, that's the song.
Yeah, it was
like, okay. And that song, I don't know. If not the prologue, this is the Cliff Notes.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
It was thematically the thing, too. That was from the previous recording, but just the line, I do my talking with a laser beam, is the line that it was in there even in the previous recording, but it was like, oh, we gotta go thematic. Like, it was one of the things that, it's one of the lines that made us re-record the album, because we hadn't achieved that kind of color on any of the songs, you know? And much like the whole record, that song is very much in pure Technicolor, like the rest of the album, which is obviously tied into the visuals of the band. But the original title for that song was Trans Am, and that was solely a working title, but it was because I was thinking about Trans Ams, and I bought a Trans Am, and I knew that eventually I was going to use it in something we were about to do, you know? And so I think about that during the song.
We make sure to take weekends off now, which is like a new thing. I think when we first started the band, I think Howard had mentioned that, Howard Benson, or maybe and we were like, well, bands don't take weekends off. You don't, screw family. You don't need any of that.
Right.
But, definitely now that's changed. But it still doesn't change, that we go in, usually like around noon or 1 or 2 and don't leave till like 3 or 4 in the morning. It really depends on what's going on that day.
That's awesome. What will we sound like in 2019? Because I did think of that when we were going to start saying that this was set in 2019. Because I was definitely like, well, this isn't what we'd sound like in 2019. But it's a guess. But I don't know. It really...
I think in 2019 you don't hear it. You just plug it into your arm and you experience it.
Yeah.
There's nothing actually going through your ears.
Yeah. It's hard to say because we take a long time to make records. And I'm actually now really proud of that. I don't think that'll ever change, and I think, but because of that, I think the fans of the band and other people that listen to it, they get a high level of quality from that. So, what year is it now?
Maybe 2011.
Yeah, 2011. We might be 2 records ahead at that point. We might be on if this is the 4th, 5th, maybe we'll be on the 6th, so I don't know. It's really hard to say. If there's any rebellion in the record, it's a rebellion against ourselves and kind of definitely against being assimilated into modern rock culture and cutting your hair and looking respectable and getting into your 30s and like, all right, we're going to be this kind of rock band because that's what people are grooming us to be. It's a rebellion against that very thing. And so there's no like rebellion against the corporation though. I see the Killjoys as really just survivalists, and I like to think of them that way. I also like to think that Better Living Industries isn't necessarily the bad guys. And neither are the Killjoys. Like, they both do really messed up things. I think maybe in the 2nd or 3rd video we're going to be shooting cops, I think. I mean, so you kind of like, it's pretty colorful in that way. There's no black or white. Yeah, so I don't feel like they're really fighting against it. But, I guess we could talk about some of the characters. Grant Morrison plays a character called Course. And he's basically the chief exterminator. He goes into the desert and cleans it up. Because there's this city called Battery City where everything's really nice and clean. And they send people like Course into the desert to exterminate basically the insects and the filth. And he has this unit of soldiers with him called Draculoids, which are basically a higher unit than police even. And literally we're making this up as we go along.
Right now?
Some of it, yeah. Yeah.
I think it's more fighting against an idea, right, than any one entity.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's totally fighting against the idea of the corporate cleanup, And what better way, who's actually kind of more suited to do or say that than a band that's actually within the corporate system, And we're not bagging on it, but there's other kinds of corporate cleanup we don't like that assimilation into modern rock. Like, it's definitely a battle against an idea, like he's saying. Rather, there's no evil tyrants. Nobody's throwing Molotov cocktails.
You have to be artistically true to yourself.
Yeah.
I think the biggest testament to that for us was we wrote a record and felt like, all right, this is par. This is great. People are saying that it's really good, but when we look back at it, it wasn't something that we were 100% happy with. And if you're not, then you shouldn't put that out. And so it's constantly striving for greatness. Always, not second-guessing yourself to the point where you fail, but, being your own worst critic about things and really pushing yourself.